Hey, welcome to 12-Tone Building Blocks, our monthly series about the fundamentals of music theory. Today we're going to look at possibly the most important idea in all Western music, chords. Technically, a chord is any set of two or more notes played at the same time, but in practice there's a couple kinds that tend to dominate the landscape. If you need to, now might be a good time to review our video on intervals. Those are gonna come up a lot. Anyway, probably the most common chord type out there is what's called a triad, which, as you might guess, has three notes. But it's not just any three notes, they have to be stacked in thirds, either major or minor. For instance, if we start on a root, then go up a major third, then a minor third, we get what's called a major triad. If we flip those, going up a minor third, then a major third, we get the minor triad instead. Major triads tend to sound happy and bright, while minor triads are a little darker and sadder, but they're both reasonably stable sounds. That's because the distance from the root to the top note is a perfect fifth, which is a really consonant interval. But if you're looking for dissonance, there's a couple more triads left. If we stack two minor thirds, we get what's called a diminished triad because the top and bottom are a diminished fifth apart. Stacking two major thirds gives us an augmented triad because, yep, augmented fifth. These two get used a lot less because, well, you heard them, but they can do some really cool things if you use them correctly. But we don't have to stop at triads, we can keep stacking thirds. Adding another one on top gets us what's called a seventh chord because the new note is some kind of seventh above the root. There's all sorts of possible combinations here, but the most common are the major seventh chord, which has a major third, perfect fifth, and major seventh, the minor seventh chord, which has a minor third, perfect fifth, and minor seventh, and the dominant seventh chord, which splits the difference using a major third, a perfect fifth, and a minor seventh. You'll also see the minor seven flat five sometimes, which is a diminished triad with a minor seventh on top, as well as the diminished seventh, also a diminished triad but with what's called a diminished seventh on top, another name for a major sixth. But like the diminished triad they're based on, these only pop up for a couple specific purposes. Anyway, generally this is where we stop. If we stacked any higher, we'd go past the octave, and once we do that, things start sounding a little less like chord tones. There is one more thing though. Notation. We use chords so often that we really need a way to write them down, and that's where chord symbols come in. These go above the staff and tell you both the root of the chord and its quality. Unfortunately, there's not really a universally agreed upon set of these. Here's the ones I like, but you may encounter some like this as well, so be careful. Either way though, they mean the same thing. Get familiar with them, because we're going to be talking more about chords in the future. A lot more. For now, thanks for watching. Building Blocks was made possible thanks to our patrons on Patreon, so if you want to see more stuff like this, please consider supporting. You can also join our mailing list for scans of all our episodes. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and keep on rockin'.